Hey everyone, welcome back to the ARTCAST. This is the 8th episode of a 12-week limited podcast covering landmark games, players, and coaches from Dr. Arthur C. Bartner's 5 decades, crazy 5 decades, as the director of the Trojan Marching Band. Plus, we get a discussion of the band's traditions. We got some good ones today. So if you want to check out the video of this podcast, you can check it out on the band's YouTube page or the Facebook page, and also the audio version on any of the podcasting apps, wherever you can go. Look for the ARTCAST, and you will find us here talking about it in like our 8th episode. It's gone by pretty quick, Dr. Bartner.
Yes. I mean, it's crazy. We're going to play football in less than 2 weeks. It's been a crazy semester.
Yeah, when we started this, we weren't sure there was going to be football. Now we at least know there's going to be some football. But it's been a lot of fun doing this with you, and I want to thank you. Show everybody this. I got this in the mail this week. So the gold standards from the Spirit of Troy, and it's signed by Dr. Bartner. So thank you so much for that. That's very cool. It's going to go here in my office. And also, you guys can check this out too. If you want a Trojan Marching Band, Spirit of Troy face mask, everyone needs face masks now. You can get those as well.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I appreciate all the time that you put in with me every week, and that's the least I could do.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for that. And I think if you go to, you can get the mass at the uscbookstore.com/Spirit of Troy, I believe, or you can go to the Trojan Marching Band page and check it out there. But yeah, good stuff. I guess those are pretty popular with the band members.
Oh yes, they just love the mask. You know, it's just such a cool thing. I mean, and everybody's got to wear a mask. So you might as well promote the Trojan Marching Band.
Yeah, well, that's very cool. And I know this isn't, before we get into things, I'll tell you what we're doing in the show. It's not a question and answer show, but I had a friend text me a couple of questions for you, Dr. Bartner. If you don't mind, we can start with that. Well, what musical instrument did you play growing up?
I played the trumpet. I marched in the Michigan Marching Band for 4 years, playing the trumpet.
All right. Did you ever play anything else, or was that like you specialized in that the whole time?
Well, that's, you're required in music education to take a semester on all the instruments.
Oh.
The only one I spent a little bit more time on is the piano.
Okay. And then the other question was, if you like classical music, who is your favorite composer?
Well, I love classical music almost as much as big band jazz, but my favorite classical composer is Gustav Mahler.
Okay.
He lived the end of the 19th century into the 20th century, and he wrote 9 symphonies, which obviously feature a lot of brass and percussion. So you could probably understand why I really have an affection for his writing.
Yeah, it's funny, and I've been. I swear we're going to get into the show, but I think about you because of your relationship with Fleetwood Mac, and one of the viral videos. I'm not a TikTok person, but there was a guy on a skateboard drinking the cranberry juice, and they Mick Fleetwood and Stevie Nicks are doing this too. They play in the Fleetwood Mac Dream song. I don't think you guys played on that one at all, but that's whenever I think of that I see that, I love that song, but then I think of you guys from that.
I know Mick, and I've stayed in touch with him, and then it was like Mick covered the cover of his tomb. So you're talking about something that has legs that keep, we recorded it in 1979, and here it is. It sold, 15 million, 100 million copies. Didn't sell, but was viewed on TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy business.
It is crazy, but yeah, it's cool. I mean, I love the song, so it's been neat to kind of hear it, and kind of TikTok even made a commercial with it and stuff, so it's kind of cool. Okay, so what are we gonna do on the show today? The actual show. Now, if you're a younger fan, if you remember the Pete Carroll days, that's what we're gonna get into. A couple of big Orange Bowl games, a couple of Heisman winners for USC. So that's gonna kind of be the focus of the football game aspect of this, and we'll get our Dr. Bartner's thoughts on that. And then the second part for the traditions is a cool one. the Jock Rally. Marv Goo, I know someone that you were close with, so we have some video from him. And so we're going to talk about how the Jock Rally came to be. But first, we got to talk about Pete Carroll and a couple of Heisman trophy winning quarterbacks, the first ones at USC, dominating the Rose Bowl. So if you remember, Mike Garrett fired Paul Hackett in the end of November of 2000, and then Pete Carroll came on December 15th of 2000. And this was we have a little video clip of Pete Carroll, but he sort of needed to learn how important the Trojan Marching Band was to the football team.
Yes, and the first guy that he talked to was Marv Goo. And Pete wanted to know the history, the tradition, the spirit of being at USC. So he went to Marv, and Marv said, the guy you need to talk to is Dr. Bartner. And very early on, he brought me into his office, and I gave him the spiel and told him about the Jock Rally and the traditions of these great fight songs. So, and Pete really embraced this. As compared to some of the other coaches, he really embraced what USC football is all about.
Yeah, well, I'll give this clip for him. So this was probably before you guys had your chat when he sort of maybe made a misstep, but I'll play this guys for you. And this is what Pete Carroll had to say after his first game as USC's head coach.
The first game I ever coached at SC, we played San Jose State at the Coliseum, and there was probably about 40,000 people there. It felt like it was, sparse. And after the game, it was a fairly close game. After the game, I'm doing the press conference, and the band was coming up, up the tunnel, and they kind of drowned out the press conference. And I said, geez, something like, how many times they play that? And did they ever stop playing that song or something like that? And there was just like a hush, my first shot, and I knew I said something wrong, and I really, later realized that's how we do it. We just keep on playing it and playing it and playing it. And that was kind of my first realization that I better get my act together here in connecting with the band and all. But what I found out in the years to follow, and soon even in that season, how connected we were and how much a part of the rhythm of everything that we did we shared with the band.
Yeah, so I assume after that San Jose State game, Dr. Bartner, that Pete Carroll never questioned how many times you played any songs as the Trojan Marching Band.
I guess, yeah, like you said, that was before I explained to him what we do. So I didn't forewarn him.
Yeah, so it's, but it was good. I mean, I think he was, of the coaches you've talked about, where would he rank on the scale as far as embracing the Trojan Marching Band?
Oh, I next to Marv Goo, he's at the top. I mean, I admired him so much, and I've learned so much from him, and he just embraced the band. He'd come over to band practice, and he'd sit on the side, and not like John Robinson, who also came over, but Pete used to bring the whole band in, and the band ran over, and they surrounded him, and then he'd tell stories about me, like, you don't have to listen to this guy. He yells at you all the time, and and he kind of rag on me, the band going, ah! So he stirred up my guys, and I lost control of him for the rest of the rehearsal. But he was just a special man, and he was so, had so much charisma, and he made football fun.
Yeah.
And he was demanding, but he made it fun, and that it was just like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, he did make things fun, and didn't start off great that first season, but won 4 of the last 5 games, including a 27-0 shutout of UCLA, which I'm sure the band loved that. But then, if you look at that defense, I'll put a picture of him up now. Troy Polamalu, absolute stud. Obviously, he was a strong safety, had a Hall of Fame career with the Steelers, and he was a two-time first-team All-American at USC with 278 tackles, 29 tackles for loss, 6 interceptions. He blocked 4 punts and scored 3 touchdowns. So maybe get some thoughts of how Troy Polamalu and you guys go back.
Yes, I didn't really interface too much with him when he was at USC, but then when he went on and became this huge all-world safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I got to know him a little bit more. And what a humble, gracious guy. And then on the football field, he was a terror. Nobody knew how to block him. And then, he could be all the way back as a safety, and then he could be on the line of scrimmage. So he was a great talent. And Pete built great defenses. Everybody talks about Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, but the defenses were just awesome.
Yeah, they were. And you mentioned Carson Palmer. That's the next guy we're going to talk about. We're going to switch to the offensive side of the ball. So the first Heisman Trophy winner since Marcus Allen, and the first quarterback to ever win was Carson Palmer, 2002. He threw for 3,942 yards and 33 touchdowns. He wasn't even on the cover of the media guide, for that year, which is crazy when you think about it. He had that collarbone injury, and it just sort of like had this long career that was not outstanding. But in comes Norm Chow, and he broke the records for most completions, passing yards, and passing touchdowns in a season. I think just his presence alone and winning the Heisman kind of changed everything for USC.
Yes, he was right. He was the quarterback under Paul Hackett, years in there. But when Pete came aboard, brought Norm Chow with him and a whole new offense, boy, Carson just blossomed, and he was the real leader of that team. And I can remember a UCLA game where, he kept the ball and went, around end to the right and, leaped over these guys trying to get a touchdown and got spinned upside down and backwards, boom. And, a normal person would not have gotten up after that, but he got up after that and he just won that team over. And he had a great Orange Bowl victory over Iowa. And he was one of the great quarterbacks. Well, he started a run of just great quarterbacks through the 2000s.
Yeah, all those guys have been drafted. Pretty much if you're after Carson Palmer, if you're starting quarterback at USC, you're getting drafted. That leap. So, he's more of a statuesque kind of, 6'5", prototypical quarterback. You're seeing those guys jump around, do it now. You see Kyler Murray, he'll do all that kind of stuff. But for Carson Palmer to do that in that game, that was a little different.
Yes, well, that's right. He was definitely a drop back quarterback. And that's why that play was so surprising. Number one, why is he keeping the ball and running around? And then he's taking on tacklers to score. And that was not, what he was taught to do as a drop back quarterback.
Yeah. Well, so USC lost a couple games that season when he won the Heisman to Kansas State in overtime and Washington State, but then just started pouring it on. I don't know if you remember, Dr. Bartner, actually way back in the day, and it's funny, it wasn't that expensive. I flew a airplane banner over the Coliseum that said Carson for Heisman, and it put USCfootball.com, like the name of my website. So it was sort of a little advertising, but they showed it on the broadcast and everything. And he built up all this momentum, beats UCLA, beats Notre Dame, which probably, won him the Heisman. And that got, the bid to the BCS to the BCS bid to go to the Orange Bowl.
I remember he had a receiver by the name of Mike Williams.
Yeah.
And Mike, one of those, here's what I remember. One of those early games was a loss to Kansas State.
Yeah.
Back at Kansas State. And we had the band back there, and Carson laid a ball out that there wasn't anybody within 5 yards of Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams might have been a freshman. And the ball was there, and it was a sure touchdown. and Mike Williams dropped the ball. Now, my reaction, and I'm sure the USC fan base was going, "Oh man," screaming, "Take him out," But Pete Carroll came off, the bench onto the field and put his arm around him. And I could read his lips, and he said, "Mike, don't worry about it. Just concentrate a little bit more and you'll make this catch the next time." And Pete Carroll was so positive, and I'm going like, whoa, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, right up in front of everybody. So I remember that moment.
Yeah, no, it was, and obviously he went on to an amazing USC career, and played plenty of great catches after that drop. But that season, Carson Palmer wins the Heisman, and you end up going to the Orange Bowl, and it was so Palmer wins, and then the number 2 Heisman vote getter was Brad Banks, if you remember, the Iowa quarterback. So go down to Miami, and the game starts off. Iowa runs back the opening kickoff for a touchdown, but that happened a lot. Like Pete Carroll didn't have the best special teams all the time, so ends up rolling to a 38-17 win, and there was that Heisman curse, but Carson Palmer was able to bunk that. So he went 21 of 31 for 303 yards and a touchdown. He ends up being the MVP. And so that was, I have a picture of that's this Trojan spell out from that Orange Bowl.
Yeah. Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah. What do you remember about that game?
I definitely remember that touchdown run because, before you play a note, you're already behind 7-0. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, this is going to be a long evening. And yet, Pete Carroll's team, they never quit. They never quit. They competed to the end of the game. And boy, they came back. And, the beauty of it is that the Iowa fans, they were convinced that they were going to win this game. They gave the band and the rest of the Trojans fans a hard time. So it's always a great joy to see the opposing team's fans leave early, head to the exit early. So it was a great joy for me and the band.
Yeah, that was a great one. It started the momentum rolling. End up winning the Rose Bowl the next year and the national championship. But we're going to move forward another year. So this is, the Norm Chow offense, a couple of years in the system. You had Matt Leinart, you had guys like Reggie Bush. And so, that year in 2004, the USC racked up 441 points and went 12-0 in the regular season. That was Matt Leinart's team. It wasn't as impressive as 2003 numbers, but he did throw for nearly 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 6 picks, and also ran for 3 touchdowns, and cruising on his way to the Heisman. So there's, look how young he looks there with Pete. Both of them look young, but Matt looks really young.
Yes, he does. Yeah, now he's a big time television commentator, and he's got a beard, sort of, and yes, handsome guy.
Yeah, for sure. And we've had him on our show. I mean, he's just great. He's been a great friend to everyone, and now just watching him develop his career at Fox has been cool to see. But so big year for him. He wins the Heisman like Carson did a couple years before, and now you have the same sort of thing. You have the same matchup, and they're not the same teams, but you go in the same bowl game, the Orange Bowl. This was January 4th, 2005. USC was then number 1, and Oklahoma was number 2, and it also. You had the top 2 Heisman vote getters again. So Matt Leinart won that year, and then Adrian Peterson, which I still have him on my fantasy team, Dr. Bartner. He's still playing. Like, that's crazy.
Well, they shut down Andrea Peterson. I mean, they just shut him down. And Matt had a great game. I can remember, we've had a receiver by the name of Steve Smith. Boy, they had a combination, and then they scored a touchdown right in front of the band and in that far end zone to the right. And they just had unbelievable combination. And Dwayne Jarrett was on that team as a freshman. And it was just, you talk about a game that was almost flawless. That was the game.
Yeah, they gave up an early touchdown to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma also had Jason White, who'd won the Heisman the previous year. This was going to be the game of the century. White and Peterson and that Oklahoma defense, they hadn't allowed a touchdown in their last 3 regular season games. And Leinart goes out and throws for 5 TD passes. Freshman Dwayne Jarrett was a big part of it, sophomore Steve Smith. And we have some highlights, so I'll play those for you, Dr. Bartner, then we'll get your thoughts.
Down to the 33 of the Sooners, first down. Reggie Bush comes out as a receiver, leaving David Kirkman in the backfield. Leinart rolls, throws deep, got a man, touchdown! What a great catch! Dominic Byrd flies high and pulls it in. On 3rd and long, they got 18. Now it's Leinart, might want it all. Going deep, left sideline, man's there, he's got him, Jarrett, touchdown! 3rd and goal at the Sooner 5, already leading 21-7. Leinart, quick throw, touchdown to Steve Smith. Second down, short 9. Leinart has time, lofts it to Smith. He caught it, touchdown! What a catch! Third and 10, Leinart rolls, gonna go deep, got a man out, Smith got it, inside the 10. First and goal, USC at the 7. They've got 3rd and goal here. Reggie Bush shuffles in the backfield, Leinart over the end zone, Steve Smith touchdown. And a new Orange Bowl record, 5 touchdown passes. And all USC tonight, they're the national champions here at the FedEx Orange Bowl. 55 points on the board, 55-19. Top-ranked USC over number 2 Oklahoma.
Yeah, just rare to see 2 good teams like that and one absolutely just blow the other one out.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure Steve Smith was number 2.
Yes,
and you, a lot of those passes going from left to right were right in front of the band. You can see the band and a couple of trucks. So we had the best view in the house, and I'm watching this going, well, how did this guy get so open? I mean, and the passes were just pinpoint accuracy. It was just one of those games. And I have to tell this story.
Okay.
Because Pete had this way of getting these teams so relaxed before the game. And they were convinced they could have beaten anybody. They could have beaten the LA Rams. They were just so relaxed and had so much confidence. And we did this rally, this, Jock Rally before the game. And it was at the team's hotel, and they didn't have a room. They didn't have the ballroom. They didn't have a room. So they stuck us in this small little conference room, this 2x4. So we were there early, and we're there waiting. And then the team comes in, and in this little tiny room, it's the band and the team literally on top of each other. And Pete Carroll is right in the middle. I mean, he's like one of the kids right in the middle of this thing. And the energy in that room, you can imagine, sticking 300 band kids and another 100 football players in this tiny room. You kind of felt, but it's just nobody's going to beat this team.
Yeah.
They're just so relaxed and so confident. Yeah. And Pete Carroll was like a cheerleader, like right in the middle of this thing. So it's a great moment.
I do have a picture of him leading the band. So he's got the sword there after the Orange Bowl win and the national championship. But apparently he didn't he didn't, he got a lot of huge wins for USC, but he wasn't someone that would grab the sword very often, apparently.
No, most coaches, save this moment for the players. It's a player tradition. But every once in a while, especially after a big game like this and a national championship, and to be honest with you, I didn't expect Pete to get up on a ladder, and there he is. To say that he was all fired up is an understatement.
Yeah. So, I didn't realize, because you see guys do it all the time. I didn't realize that was something Pete Carroll didn't normally do, but that was a big win. So, that's one he can get up on the ladder for.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And we had, I think, Ed Ogeron got on the ladder. There was a group of coaches that got on the ladder. And yeah, sometimes we'll end up playing Conquest 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. If somebody's there and wants to get on the ladder, we'll play the tune. And it's a little repetitive, but you never get tired of hearing Conquest.
Yeah. I'm sure the band members probably don't get tired of playing it if they were getting, another guy with the sword coming up there. It's probably energizing every time they see that.
Oh, yeah. And our fans are all around us. And I mean, it's like what I call the gathering of the Trojan family, because you got the team, the band, the player on the ladder, and then you got the fans all the way through the end zone and around, on, to about the 20, 30-yard line. So it's what USC is all about.
All right. Well, that was some great trip down memory lane for those 2 Heisman winning quarterbacks, Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart, and those couple of Orange Bowl wins and national championships. And we're going to shift to part 2 of our, we always go into some of the band traditions. You sort of introduced this segment already, Dr. Bartner. It's the Jock Rally. And you mentioned the fun Jock Rally you had for the 2005 Orange Bowl where you're all crammed in. But it's really been like before home games, and then usually in a kind of bowl games, like in this, this situation. I know it's an old tradition before, it predated you, but I guess this took a life of its own when you arrived, and then Marv Goo kind of brought you under his wing. And I'll play this interview from Marv Goo this was 1995. It was your 25th anniversary, so 25 years ago, I guess, at the Coliseum. I'll play this, and we'll get your thoughts what Marv Goo had to say.
Friday night when we stay home and we play a game, they had a tradition at SC. Even when I was recruited, I used to remember coming in here in 50 to watch him a night before the Notre Dame game, and the SC band would line up between the old gym building and Boulevard Field. And they would line up there and they would play Fight On. We didn't even know what Conquest was yet. But they play Fight On, and the team would run through there and down in the locker room and then go to the hotel and so forth. And about 1970, I know Art Bartner was around. He was always around the football, and he was really enthusiastic. And the team lined up, and they lined up that one day on Friday afternoon, and all of a sudden, the team went down in the locker room, and I says, hell, we got to change something here. We got to start something going here. I said, Bartner, get your troops and come on downstairs. So he got his guys, come down, there must have been 30 of them. Went downstairs in the old gym. The ceiling was about this high. The light bulbs were set up. The guy with the tuba comes in and breaks about 4 of them. The guys were already in the locker room, showering and getting ready. I went in there and got them out of there. And we start playing Fight On. And we had the best damn rally you've ever seen. And all of a sudden, the team and the USC band became this power. Believe me, it was the greatest rally you have ever been around.
It's pretty powerful stuff from Marv Goo, just how he just wanted to see that merge between the band and the football team, and just how that, how the power that would create between the band and the football team, that union.
I have to tell you, I am so moved by seeing Marv. I mean, there was an amazing love between I and Marv, and it lasted really all the way to the end of his life. So, and I consider him my mentor. And my first year at USC in 1970, I met Marv up in the Commons, and he took me under his wing. He took me to practice, and he said, he didn't tell me what the Jock Rally was all about, but he said, I want you to bring the band over at 5 o'clock to the old PE building. And this is before, Heritage Hall. And he said, you wait, and then I'll call the band into the team's locker. Now, I didn't have any idea what he was talking about. But sure enough, the band, which was only 80 back then, we went into the team locker, and, it was in the basement of the PE building, and it was dark and dingy. And basically, the rally was a one-man show. It was Marv getting up, he got on a bench or something, and he would just be, laying into these players, you've got to win for dear old Troy. And he'd do things like he'd grab a locker door and he'd pull it off his, hinges, and he'd hold it up and go, this is what you're going to do to those players. And then he'd always knock out a couple of lights so it even got darker. And this was, Marv, this is what it was. And then at the end, he'd go, Art, play the fight song. And we played a fight song, and then we would leave. And that was the whole rally.
Yeah, he said the tubas were, because the ceilings were so low, the tubas would knock some of the lights out as he walked in.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think the tubas got into the room. It was just...
Yeah, that's an old, he would call it the old gym building. But yeah, the old PE building. I think when I was there, I was on the club volleyball team, we would practice in there. And yeah, it was definitely old, dark, and dingy. And
yep.
But, now you got some new stuff. But now you get, it's a much nicer digs, but it's outside. You'll do in that plaza behind Heritage Hall. The Song Girls will be there, the Spirit Leaders, obviously the Trojan Marching Band. You guys will play Tribute to Troy and Fight On as all the players walk in. And then you'll play a stand tune. So it could be like All I Do Is Win or Seven Nation Army or California Love, one of those. And a coach gets up on the ladder and you have a different coach every week. It just seems like you guys got it rolling now. It seems like the players and the band member, everyone seems to enjoy what they're doing with this now.
Yes. Each coach kind of made it his own. And we've moved it around. For a while, we used to go to the team's practice field. They came to our practice field. We used to do it inside Heritage Hall. Now we do it outside. But now it's just we have a formula now. And what's great about it is that the team kind of knows, as Pete used to say, there's a consistency to what we do. And you get the same fight songs. You get Tusk at the same time. All Right Now at the same time. And it's kind of an interaction thing that the team has a response to Tusk. And, they hold a player up and surf this player around. And All Right Now, the Song Girls go out and dance with the team. And there's the surfing deal. Thank goodness they don't drop this player. So there's this kind of give and take between the band and the team. And it's just a lot of fun. This is Colbert, I think
Kerry Colbert,
the wide receiver coach. And, it's great to get the coaches up. And then that's followed by, usually a senior of the team. And, they speak to the team. And of course, the band is behind them. And it's the only place in the country where this happens. It's just a great tradition between band and team.
Yeah, and it's just, you guys, like you said, you got it down pat. They'll play, the coach will speak, like we show Kerry Colbert up there. Then you guys play Tusk. And then, there's you got the crowd surfing, with the player and stuff going on. And then the All Right Now is a tradition that dated back to Marv Goo, with the song girls and some of the flutes like dancing with the players. And we have a video of that, and you can see if you watch, you can see our buddy Jake Olson dancing with some pom poms in this one. But I'll play this. Yeah, I'll play this one for you. You can see Jake getting into it getting a picture with one of the song girls there. Like, he's always posing for pictures, man. He's always doing that.
Well, again, here's this. Marv loved this tune, and Marv started this tradition because it was one rally where we went over to Howard Jones Field, and when we started playing this tune, Marv just spontaneously got out there, and as John Robinson said, he started dancing with a clarinet player. But what's happened now, we send the song girls into the team, and everybody starts, and it's a party. It could be the biggest game of the year, and yet everybody's relaxed, having fun. It's about the Trojan spirit. Just a wonderful tradition.
And then after that, you get up there for the SoCal Spell. So here's a picture of you up there leading that. So that happens every time, right after All Right Now?
Yeah, again, if you ask me how this gets started, I can't give you an answer because normally the drum major, gets up on the ladder and he normally leads the SoCal. But, I guess I want this control thing. And so I lead the SoCal. And what's happened through the years, the football team mimics me. They know all my moves, how my arms are outstretched. And then I start wiggling my fingers. I mean, I don't know what I do. But I'm looking at the team and they're all mimicking me. And it's like the craziest thing. I mean, you couldn't script something like this. And the bigger the game, the more volume I want. I want from the band, I want from the team, I want from the Trojan fans that are around the outside, and it can get pretty loud. And then I call the SoCal, and it can be very moving.
Yeah.
Because this is what it's all about, the University of Southern California. And this is our quintessential cheer, and everybody is doing this cheer. It's terrific.
Yeah. And is that a composer thing, or is that a Dr. Bartner thing? Because I remember seeing you all the time, like you'd be like, wiggling your fingers as you're like kind of pointing to people and stuff.
Nobody taught me to do this in my conducting classes at the University of Michigan. I have no idea how or why I started to do that. What can I say? I
mean, I remember seeing it, so I'm sure that the band members know it, but really well. But the last part is Conquest, and whoever the player was that gave a speech, you'll get up and he'll have the sword. And I think this is from last year with one of the games. Michael Pittman got up there doing that.
Yeah, this is so neat because you get a player like Michael Pittman, who's like all worldwide receiver. I think he plays for the Colts now. And it's just great because, again, it brings the band and the team and the fans that are there together. It's the Trojan family together getting fired up for the football game. It's just a marvelous, moment, and I think the players really look forward to it. It's an honor to be on that ladder, holding the sword. The symbol of Troy is that sword, and to hold that sword means a lot to these seniors.
Yeah, and it's typically seniors, and sometimes you get a guy that's not necessarily a star like Michael Pittman, but someone might be like a offensive lineman that's been around for a while. And I've definitely talked to them, and after they get to speak at a Jock Rally, they're usually, it's something that's it moves them. Like I know it's if it's not that star player, they really enjoy that.
Yes, and it's such a traditional places. And going back to Pete Carroll, he bought into this. I mean, and we've had some coaches for in different degrees did not buy into this traditions, and Pete, he loved it, and I remember even Pete got up on a ladder to give the speech, to give the fire up speech for a big game. We're going into the Coliseum. This is our home. We have to protect our home. And I thought you hear this, and it's like, if I had any eligibility left, give me my pants and my helmet. I'll go in and play. No, I won't. But you just get so fired up.
Yeah. Have you ever got into grabbed your trumpet and played with the band at all? Have you done that?
No. Last, when I was a freshman in high school, I was a wide receiver, and I was tall, I was fast, but then I dropped football to be in the band my sophomore year, because I knew that I was going to be a basketball player, and I wasn't worried. But the football coach, he never got over it, how I could drop football to be in a band. And for the next 2 years, my junior and senior year, he used to rag on me all the time. And yet, I think it turned out okay for me.
Yeah, I think at some point he would have probably been like, man, he's been directing the USC band for whatever, 20, 30, 40, now 50 years. It's probably like, yeah, okay, I guess it worked out.
Right.
Well, Dr. Bartner, this was a great one. Obviously, the Pete Carroll era, so special for USC fans, and a lot of the younger fans know about it, because they've lived it or they grew up watching it. And the Jock Rally, I encourage anyone, once this pandemic is over, hopefully soon, if you get an opportunity to go out there and see it, it's really a special thing. The players love it, the band loves it, and I know you do too.
Yes, and I actually talked to Clay yesterday morning because I wanted to do a Jock Rally. I don't know how before the first game, because the band is virtual and the players are in person. So anyway, we're going to try to do something this Friday, where the band is going to play and the team's going to be at a meeting, and so we're going to get a little back and forth. It's just a way of trying to keep this tradition alive during these very challenging times.
That's a great idea. I think the players would love that. I'm sure the band would too.
Yes. Oh, looking forward to it.
All right. Well, Dr. Bartner, great stuff. Just want to let everyone know, I know football's coming up. We got it coming up pretty soon. If you're going to have a USC football watch party at home with the Trojan Marching Band, apparel, drinkware, preserve pressed wood products, coasters, and wall-mounted bottle openers that are marked with the Trojan Marching Band, you can go to uscbookstore.com/Spirit of Troy, and a portion of the sales benefit the band's scholarship fund. So there's some really cool stuff. My wife, actually, full disclosure, that's her company, Preserve Press, but they have a lot of this Trojan Marching Band apparel. The coasters and stuff are all really cool. And of course, you can get your mask over there. So make sure you go check it out. And like I said, a portion of the sales will benefit the band's scholarship fund. So good stuff, Dr. Bartner.
Well, thank you, and thank you everybody for watching this ARTCAST every week. And fight on!
All right, fight on, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.